On this episode of Mom Sipping Sangria,
if you've gone into a health food store recently, you'll be overwhelmed by the number of choices you've got. So I think part of what I can do is help people make choices and make decisions about what they should and shouldn't use.
I'm good. Let's do it.
Welcome to Mom Sipping Sangria. I'm Sheila Walsh, and she is the lovely and talented Anita Reynolds MacArthur.
Well, hello there.
Well, hello there. And joining us momentarily for cocktails, now healthy cocktails, will be a woman who can help explain the shelves and shelves of vitamins and supplements you see at the drugstore or health store, and which ones you should be looking at, which ones you should be passing by. So we look forward to speaking with Dr. Aileen momentarily. But Anita, happy almost June, lady.
Woohoo! Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see that calendar change.
Yeah.
The nicer, warmer weather, the sunnier days, the birds chirping. We can be our bird ladies again, Sheila.
God. Again, I've been a bird lady all winter. Do you know what I found, Anita? Did I tell you this? At Dollarama when it's open, I don't, sometimes it's open, sometimes it's closed, is a window bird feeder. It's a suction cup, and you put it right on the window, and then I literally stand there, and I don't move, and these little birds come right up to the window, and they eat the little food.
Way.
Oh, it's amazing. My friend Kathy Kanzora, who's going to be joining us on our next podcast, she's a podcaster, A History of the 90s. She was the one who told me about it last year because I saw these birds going to her window. I'm like, what's going on there? $2 at Dollarama, and it has given me more joy than Netflix.
So it has like little suction cups.
It's a suction cup.
Window.
You stick it to your window. You put the bird feeder. I should have saved that for Fave Finds, but you put like bird feed in, and then you put it back on, and literally so you're right. They're right in your face. It's amazing. Wow. It really is.
Well, I'm going to have to go look for that.
Totally. So bird ladies, yes.
So do you know what so I know we just had Mother's Day that passed by. So do you know, you probably don't know this, what I ask for Mother's Day every year from the kids?
What?
Yard cleanup.
Oh, good idea. And then they can't say no.
What we do is we spend like one Saturday or Sunday or whatever, and literally what we all do as a family in 3 hours would take me personally 15 hours to do, right? Because there's like 5 of us going at it. So they kind of roll their eyes, but at the end of it, I give them like Dairy Queen, so everybody's happy or whatever. But boy, does that ever make my life easier, because then I'm not slogging it by myself, right? Like everybody's pitching in. So if you have teenagers at home, or even, a little bit younger than teens, they can definitely get out and, help out and get that yard where you need it to be.
And really, you have to teach the kids the life skills, right? Like, absolutely. Like they should know how to garden.
It gives you time with them and them with you. Like at first it starts off a little bit begrudgingly, but by the end, everybody's chatting about something or other, or, whatever, and everybody's working together. It's actually turns out to be a a really fun day. So.
Yeah.
They might not agree, but I do.
And the place looks great. You thought it was great fun. Oh, that's good. So you had a nice Mother's Day. I guess because we last chatted at the end of April. So yes, that's right. Yeah. So Mother's Day was great. Ava had a birthday. Miles had a birthday.
That's right. Yes.
Greg and I celebrated our champagne anniversary this past month. So
oh my gosh, that's right. Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats on that.
Thank you. And I remember when we were having our wedding day on May 23rd, 1998, that you were pretending to drink vodka and orange juice at the wedding, but it ended up just being orange juice because you were pregnant with Campbell, but you didn't want to take the thunder away from our wedding. So I think you told us, maybe the week after?
I think actually I told you it was like when the whole amazing party celebration was over. And and we just had like a few minutes, the four of us together, and then we told you that night. But I was so nervous that I wasn't going to be able to fit because I was a bridesmaid for Sheila, and I was so nervous because I was like busting at the seams in this thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, if this was a week later, this dress is not going to fit.
Oh my gosh, that was a lot of fun, and you did a great job of keeping everything, under the radar. Did not have a clue. So, and Ian was our MC. Oh my gosh, his jokes, my side of the family were horrified, and Greg's side of the family were literally on the floor laughing. That's so funny. Moving on let's talk about our sangria recipe for this episode. It is a celery, cucumber, gimlet white sangria, and we will post that up on our website.
You know, Sheila, this particular one, you sent it to me early, and I have to say, I gave it a try the other day. It's got like really cool things that you wouldn't think of putting into a sangria. It's got celery, cucumber, lime slices.
Yep.
It had a different, you you usually just think of, fruity berries or whatever, but the lime slices and the cucumber, it was really refreshing. I really liked it. So good choice.
Yeah. And, again, with Dr. Aileen coming on, I figured we better have some nutrients in there. She wouldn't totally be disgusted by our choice.
Wasn't lime used to treat what was it called? Scabies, or I don't know what it was called.
Some vitamin C.
People were coming to Canada.
That's right.
Scurvy.
What did you call it? Scabies? I think that's a thing too.
Probably works on that.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's a nice segue into our guest today is a doctor who has a way of taking very complicated and confusing issues like supplements and vitamins and nutrition and making them all understandable. Dr. Aileen Burford-Mason is a biochemist, immunologist, and cell biologist. Oh, is that all, Dr. Aileen? She's a recognized and respected expert in the field of vitamins and their appropriate use in health maintenance. Aileen has just released her latest book, I guess last week, The War Against Viruses, How Apropos, and she is here with us now.
Dr. Aileen, welcome to Mom Sipping Sangria.
Hi, how are you?
We always like to start our guest chat talking about our guest first. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your practice?
Well, originally I'm a mainstream researcher. I'm an immunologist by training, and I was in immunological research for years. Then I was director of the Cancer Research Laboratory at the Toronto General and at the University of Toronto. But my main interest has always been, over the years, the requirement of the body for all of the essential nutrients to function properly. And so I really felt so strongly that we were not focusing enough on not just nutrition. Nutrition is a different thing from diet. Diet is just an inventory of the things that we eat every day. They may be good for us or they may not be good for us, but nutrition is something different. It's making sure we're eating foods that actually benefit the body and that allow the body to function properly. And I thought that was really at the root of many, many health problems. So for the last 23 years now, I think it is, I've been working in a field called Orthomolecular Nutrition.
Oh, say that 10 times.
That's a good word to learn. Ortho just means correct. So the orthodontist corrects your bite. The orthopedic specialist, works on correcting your profile, how you walk, etc. So orthomolecular nutrition just means the right molecules in the right place at the right time for every system in the body to function. For the immune system to function, for the brain to function, for the heart to function, for the digestive system to function. And it's a very different focus from people who just, maybe a dietitian who will look at the, different foods. Of course, I do specialize in supplements, and that's what I'm known for. But I'm always reminding people that they're well named. They're called supplements, not instead of. So they supplement a good diet. And so the two work together. And of course, at the moment, I'm working with some grade 11s on a little program that I've called Feed Your Brain. And, I'm teaching them that, there are things that we eat that aren't particularly good for us that we need to cut out of our diet. But then there's things that we should have in our diet that we're not getting, and we need to put those in. So, as I say, it's a little bit of a different focus from the usual dietary approach.
Are you finding these grade 11s you're working with a little bit more knowledgeable these days than they were, let's say, 10 years ago, or even when you started 23 years ago? Are we doing a better job educating on what our body needs?
I wouldn't say they're better educated. I would say that the particular groups that I'm working with, that they're much more interested and really quite astonished to think that the way their brain functions from moment to moment might actually depend on how they ate at their last meal. And once they're interested, they soak it up like a sponge. The older teenagers who are sort of working very hard academically, and maybe they're going to be living away from home in a year or so for the first time, looking after themselves. And if they don't understand why they need to eat and what they need to eat, they're going to run into trouble.
Well, that's Anita and my children's age, exactly. Mm-hmm. So this is talking to the right crowd here for sure.
What is the difference between vitamins and supplements? Let's start there.
Supplements are just anything you add to your daily diet. They may not be nutritional in that they may not be basic requirements of the body. So supplements covers a wide range. It can be, herbal supplements. I don't deal in herbal supplements. I'm dealing with the essential nutrients. So 40 of them, all the vitamins, all the minerals, 2 types of fat that are essential, omega-3s and omega-6s. They need to be in balance. Omega-6s, plentiful in our diet. Omega-3s, not so much. So you may want to supplement with those. And then protein is digested into amino acids, and 9 of those are essential. So all of these basic nutrients work together as a team. That's really where people run into trouble, because they think you can separate them out. So, for example, when there was a lot of publicity about vitamin D, people started taking vitamin D. Well, I can tell you now, vitamin D doesn't work alone. It needs vitamin K, it needs magnesium, it needs calcium. And if you're thinking that vitamin D will keep your bones strong, every one of those 40 nutrients is involved in building good bone. So I start with diet first. Diet is fundamental, and that's what I'm teaching these kids, and I think that's what can be done at home. Supplementing with extra vitamins and minerals can be quite controversial, and particularly when we don't teach nutrition in this molecular context, this biochemical context I'm talking about. We don't teach it in medical schools, unfortunately. So it does get confusing when some of the people you turn to for health advice say, I wouldn't do that. And often they say it because they don't know enough to know whether it's good or bad. And so to be on the safe side, they say, no, don't do it. So I think the important thing is to start with diet, with children as young as possible, and explain to them why they need to be building their body every single day with good nutrition.
With good nutrition and appropriate use of the supplements and vitamins, like you said, and especially, we'll kind of segue, especially these days because of this, crazy pandemic and this new virus, and viruses we've always had to deal with in one way or another. Your new book, congratulations, by the way, The War Against Viruses. It's not meant to cure yourself, but it's meant to help protect yourself with supplements, vitamins, and you said diet, right? So can you just explain a little bit about how that works in context to, the pandemic and viruses in general?
Well, every step of the way, the immune system requires all of these nutrients I've just been talking about. Yep. What we've always known is that the immune system is a very sensitive indicator of how well nourished you are. So basically, when I start working with people, I always say, if you get, how many colds do you get in a year? Or when I'm teaching doctors, continuing medical education courses, I'll say, so what's an acceptable number of colds in a year? And they'll come up with 1 to 3. But I'll say, no, the correct answer is 0. And that doesn't mean to say you're not catching the virus, but your immune system works for you 24/7 silently. It's only when it's overwhelmed that you get symptoms. And so basically, you can get a virus but have no symptoms whatsoever because your immune system is well enough nourished that it can deal with it without causing a lot of symptoms. So really, when you get bad colds and flu, in the winter, that can be overcome with dietary adjustments, eating good food that nourishes the body and not junk food or foods that is heavily processed that provides maybe calories, but certainly not a lot of nutrition. And also, the appropriate use of supplements. And I do think people need guidance. That's why I write books, is to actually show people how they might be their own nutritionist, in that they could select supplements appropriately. But if you've gone into a health food store recently, you will be overwhelmed by the number of choices you've got. So I think part of what I can do is help people make choices and make decisions about what they should and shouldn't use. It's very different when we suddenly are faced with a new virus that none of us have any way of protecting ourselves against. And this virus that causes COVID-19 is a very wily virus. It has an enormous number of tricks. So one thing it can do is it can be in the body for quite a while, infecting you, and you can infect other people before you know you've got it. So that means you've got a chance to spread it widely. The sole objective of a virus is to spread as far as possible and infect as many people as possible. So basically you're going hugging your granny, you are, meeting up with people, and you're sharing your virus with somebody else. And you don't know you're sick. So that's the first thing that it does that is very clever. The other thing it seems to do, and of course we're learning on the hoof, we're learning as we go along. Every day you learn something new about this virus, is it seems to be able to disable a molecule called interferon. That's our first line defense against invasion by a pathogen of some sort.
So can I just, could you dumb that down and talk to me like an 8-year-old for that?
So when I say your cells should produce this molecule interferon.
Okay.
And when you've got a virus that somehow can block your cells from doing that, you don't have the symptoms of the virus, but you've still got the virus. Okay. And so you might think that's a good thing, that you can not have very minor symptoms, but it might not be so. It may be favorable to the virus if it spreads much more. And then it depends on people's basic nutrition, and some of that is genetics. Part of our immune system we actually are born with, and it doesn't change much throughout our lifetime. And we may be lucky and be born with a strong immune system. But it all depends on nutrition. So you can abuse it by poor diet. And if the virus is there, gradually it's going to get out of control and it's going to affect more and more tissues. It'll start in the nose and the throat, and then it'll go to the lungs. And then it interferes with the oxygen going into the blood and the carbon dioxide coming out. And once it does that, you get leaky blood vessels and it can get into the bloodstream. Now it can go anywhere it likes.
And are these the kinds of people we're seeing in the ICU? These are the ones that's gone that far and progressed that much?
That's an interesting thing. So the immune system, there's really two areas we have to focus on. First of all, you need a strong immune system and sufficient nutrients to work it and to deal with the virus directly. But the people you're talking about, the people who are getting very severe disease, and hopefully not, but possibly dying from it, they're not dying from the virus. They long ago got the virus under control. We have plenty of evidence to show that. What they're not controlling is their own immune system. And they're actually dying from a rogue immune system that's got out of control. And I try and explain this, at the 8-year-old level that you're talking about in the book. Basically, there's a lot of damage to tissues done when you don't control the immune system. And that, again, requires ample amounts of these vitamins and minerals.
So is there a magic, a couple of supplements that everybody should take and can take off the bat? And then obviously, I guess it gets modified depending on a lot of other things, but that would help build your immune system now so you don't get that kind of rogue immune system down the road. I'm sure you do answer this in the book, The War Against Viruses.
Well, one is vitamin D, and there's a lot of controversy around vitamin D. But remember, going back to the need for all of these nutrients at the same time, vitamin D alone will do nothing. But, the misconception about vitamin D is, okay, all of these people in ICU have low vitamin D. Therefore, if we give them vitamin D, they'll get better, or they'll get better quicker. That isn't necessarily the case. That's not the way vitamins work. If you have low vitamin D, you're going to be at higher risk of getting the virus and getting this severe outcome. It's called a cytokine storm, where the immune system goes rogue.
Okay.
And you're going to be at higher risk. But that doesn't mean to say just giving you vitamin D will prevent that. Because you can die from vitamin C deficiency just as easily as vitamin D. So do you see the difference? Put your 8-year-old cap on here and see if I'm explaining this well enough. Giving vitamin D is not going to prevent the virus.
Right.
But if you're short of vitamin D, for sure you're at higher risk.
And then you're saying to supplement vitamin D, you listed some earlier ones, so it would work in conjunction. I think you said vitamin K and magnesium.
Else, but we can guarantee that most North Americans this far north are vitamin D deficient,
right,
particularly in winter months. So at the moment now, we can start making vitamin D from the beginning of April to the end of September. But then we start to lose the vitamin D unless we're taking it. We're likely to become deficient. That increases our risk. But it's no guarantee that you're not going to get it. And in my opinion, this is different. We have no natural immunity to this new virus, which has jumped from animals to humans. It is a very efficient virus. It knows how to mutate to give it more advantages. And so, like all viruses, they're mutating all the time. That's what they do. And so basically, we've no natural immunity to that. I think it's possible that almost everybody will get the COVID, whether they know it or not. But really, we're trying to protect those who are vulnerable. And here's one of the emphases in the book. The people who have added risk, who are at added risk, are those who are overweight or obese. The more heavy the person is, the higher their risk of getting the virus and bad outcomes. And type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure and cardiovascular disease, these chronic illnesses are all known to deplete these very nutrients that the immune system needs. So this is a wake-up call, really, to say we have to reform our diets. We have to start thinking about the nutrition in all its complexity. I try and simplify it as much as I can in the book. And I do think about that 8-year-old when I'm, maybe a 12-year-old, an 8-year-old.
Well, I'll tell you, you honestly, you do a great job, because I remember the first time I was introduced to your book, it was Eat Well, Age Better. And a friend of mine who is a nurse practitioner, she gave it to me. Actually, Lisa, who was on the show, Anita. And she said, you got to read this book. She's amazing. And so I read it and I'm like, oh my goodness, I actually understand what this doctor is talking about, because you really do explain it well. And if you can explain it well, like you said, back to those grade 11s, they have the buy-in, and then they suddenly are interested, and they have, they want to know. So if everybody can read this book, at least they'll understand a little bit more, and they'll have the knowledge to be able to do something about it. I guess that's your hope, right?
That's it. And, it is complicated. It is tricky. It's hard to explain in a short period of time. However, that's the purpose of writing books, is to try and bring clarity to it. So it is clear why you need to eat a certain way, etc. And how that will, it's not just going to support your immune system, because there's no diet that is good for immunity that isn't also good for preventing heart disease or strokes or dementia. So, there's no downside to reforming diet. It's just people haven't been urged to do it. But I think COVID is a wake-up call. We've seen the people who are vulnerable, more vulnerable than the average person, and they all have, we admit that these diseases now are diet-related. So we really have to start focusing in a much more, in a much more concentrated way, and to convince the average person that they will get huge benefits from eating, and largely they need to stop eating processed food. That's the food with little nutrition and loads of calories that's going to cause us to gain weight without allowing us to gain health.
Which, of course, everybody's been doing over COVID.
Well, over COVID, before that.
Yeah, that's true.
The last analysis that was done on Canadians was that 61% of Canadians ate only processed food.
61%?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. That's insane. That is insane.
I think we've a long way to go, but it's not impossible. It's not that difficult. There's a lot of pressures against doing it, because a lot of these processed foods are very tasty.
Yeah, that's true. They get you there. But, we have so many more questions, but I know that you're on this book run now, and we would encourage everybody to read this book and actually read Dr. Aileen's other books, The Healthy Brain and Eat Well, Age Better, because really, honestly, truly, you're doing such a great service of educating people, putting that information out there. It's not hard to understand if you're not in the medical field. And like I said, I need to be talked to like I'm an 8-year-old, and you explained it beautifully. So this is information that we need to know, and we're so grateful that it's out there for us.
And Dr. Aileen also has some great resources on her website with articles and blogs and links to those books in particular. So be sure to check them out. That's Dr. Aileen Burford-Mason. I hope I'm saying that right. Dr. Aileen Burford-Mason. Yes. So thank you so much for your time. And once again, Dr. Aileen's new book, The War Against Viruses, is available online and in bookstores once they are open again.
Whenever that is.
And you can follow me on Twitter.
We'll put all that up on our website as well. So Dr. Aileen, thank you so much again. Good luck with the book.
Thank you very much for giving me the time to talk to your audience.
And yeah, great advice as always. Thank you so much, and stay safe.
Take care.
You too.
Unfortunately, Dr. Aileen wasn't able to stick around for the entire episode, but we're going to just have fun together anyway, Sheila.
Darn tootin'.
Darn tootin'.
Yeah, that's what my mom, sweet mom says all the time.
Darn tootin'.
Darn tootin'.
Well, this is the part of the show where we share fave finds and we raise a glass or take a pass, which is where we are going to start. Mm-hmm. So raise a glass of our sangria to someone or something great, or perhaps we toss a glass and take a pass at something not so great.
Okay.
That's fine.
So let me see. Do
you want me to go?
No, I got it. Yes. So I'm going to raise glasses. I'm going to raise a few glasses.
Ooh, cool.
So
two-fisted
glasses. What are these called? The Sangria, Gimlet, gin, something. Okay, two of them. First of all, raise a glass to all the dads who are going to be celebrating Father's Day this month. And in my case of my husband, Greg, he's a great father of our 3 kids. And I'm going to be remembering my dad, PJ, who's I'm raising a glass to up in the skies above, and so that's one. My middle one, Lila, is graduating grade 12.
Oh my gosh! How did we get here, Sheila?
I don't know. I have a picture of the older 2 of yours and Miles and Lila, and that was like yesterday, and that's about 15, 16 years ago already. It's crazy. So happy graduation to Lila and Elle, my youngest, finishing grade 7 this month, all online. The entire year was online. Actually, Lila, entire year was online. So to all the dads and to Lila graduating and all her lovely friends, and Elle and all her lovely friends finishing grade 7 online, I'm raising a glass to all of them. How about you?
Oh, that's lovely. I'm going to raise a glass to that too. So I'm going to toss a glass, and then I'm also going to raise a glass.
Good.
My toss a glass is very short. All I'm going to say is that it's a company that rhymes with Everscare.
Everscare. Why am I so dense? What's Everscare? Okay, whisper it to me.
It rhymes with Everscare, and they have abhorrent customer service. I've been dealing with them for like 6 months. And emails, phone calls, you name it. I'm ready to rip my hair out. When we were ordering something, I'm not going to say what because it rhymes with Everscare. When we needed to, they were right there, ready to take our money. And then, of course, as we have questions or we need answers or whatever, it's just been such a runaround. So I'm tossing a glass to them.
Do you know what I'm doing right now? I'm going through my head with the alphabet, going Beverscare, Keverscare. You got to tell me off, Mike, because I totally am deaf. I have no idea who you're talking about. Okay. But I'll toss a glass on them too. Okay, and you're raising one.
All right. And then I'm raising a glass to this gem of a show on Netflix. It's called Flaked. Have you seen that one?
No.
Oh my gosh. It's 2 seasons. It stars Will Arnett.
Oh my God, I love him.
Oh, it's set in
So
Venice Beach, California.
Yeah.
They have guest appearances, people like Kirstie Alley and Heather Graham and a few others. But he's a recovering alcoholic, and then it just goes from there. He ends up in Venice Beach, and then he meets people along the way, and it's just such a great show. It's almost like a movie that spans 2 seasons. The seasons aren't super long, and they're only half-hour each episode, but Flaked. Flaked? Flaked.
On Will Netflix Arnett. With Will Arnett, who is a Toronto boy. Did you know that? He was from Toronto.
Yeah.
I've been listening a lot of his podcasting stuff.
Oh, I love that
Yes,
podcast.
Very cool. Okay, so that's one for the summer viewing. We also want to toast a few of our fave finds, which are things we love and want to share with you. Just because 100% sponsor-free, we just dig them for the sake of digging them. Miss Anita, what do you got?
Okay, so mine are blue crystals. No, not the blue crystals that Walter White and Jesse were cooking up on Breaking Bad.
I was wondering where you're going with blue crystals.
But they're blue crystals that help your plants grow and flowers bloom. And I love this product, and it totally uplifts every planter I have, every flower bed that we've got. It just,
I am 100%. That's a fave find of mine too. Excellent. So sticking with the theme of spring, this time of the recording, we are still without pampering in salons and nail spas, of course, because of the pandemic. So I can recommend a great pedicure tool to help with those feet that we are now slipping into sandals in the spring and summer. And it's not from the workbench, because Lord knows some of us need that heavy-duty equipment after not having a penny in a year, a chisel, and a...
No kidding.
Oh my God. So
gosh.
I've got
something. I can't wait to see what that is.
Oh yeah. You know what? It's really great. And that's the thing. It's high maintenance, your feet. If you really want to have nice feet, it's not an easy thing to get.
It's funny because I obsess over that, now at our age.
Yes.
I obsess over it. I talk about it almost daily at this point because we are going back at, flip-flops, this, that, the other. And Ava just looks at me like, I really have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, I know, because she still has smooth, beautiful skin.
Right.
It's my daughters, too. They're like, I don't really, because I got one for Lila a couple of years ago. And she's like, I don't need this. I'm like, you just wait, girl. You will. Anyway, you can find our fave finds on our website and in our newsletter. Head on over to momsippingsangria.com, and to all those people, places, and things, we raise a glass. And of course, to you as well. Cheers.
Cheers.
We've come to the part of the show which we call the Sangria Chronicles, featuring good news stories only that will warm your heart because, as Dr. Aileen was saying, she doesn't watch the news. So many people aren't watching the news because it's all bad and it's all, depressing. But it's not all bad news out there. They're just choosing not to share it unless you come to Mom Sipping Sangria, where we are sharing it. So, Anita, you have a great news story.
Oh, well, that is a wonderful lead into this story, which is, it's a good news story for moms and parents. I don't know if kids are going to agree with this. So actually, you may not want to have kids listen to this one, because it's how to get your kids to clean their room.
Yeah, you see all the kids scurrying out. No, thanks.
So I found this on, there's a Facebook group page called Grown and Flown Parents.
Okay.
And a mom had posted about how she was driving her. She was pulling her hair out because, her teenage son refused to clean his room. And, she was just going cuckoo. And does anybody have any suggestions for her? And then this one mom pipes up and she tells a story about how her son was, similar, 18 years old, messy, mortified to show his room to anybody. And she was having a painter coming in. So she was just so embarrassed that this painter was going to have to go into this room. So what she did was she texted her son, and she said that the painter had sworn he saw a mouse and that there were droppings, and that he needed to come home right away and clean out his room, right? So he comes home. He's very upset. He's totally grossed out. He cleaned his room, took 4 hours. Now, the thing is, I don't know if you know this, Sheila, but what she did was she sent him a picture of the floor in his room, this little section, and she had put black rice. I don't know if you've ever seen black rice, but it looked just like mouse droppings.
That's
and for added effect,
so bad and good.
For added effect, she sprinkled a couple onto his bedsheet.
That would do it.
And it totally worked. So much so that he ended up mopping the floors, cleaning out, like throwing out so much stuff, but it also scared the bejesus out of his sister. She ended up cleaning her room for hours as well.
Oh my gosh. There are so many good people and stories out there. Feel free to share yours. Visit momsippingsangria.com. Well, we have come to the part of the show called Spill the Sangria, where we dish out funny or embarrassing stories to make us all feel better about ourselves. Normally, if our guest was able to stick with us, we would invite them to do that. But since Dr. Aileen couldn't stick around, we're both going to share a little story, and we're going to start with yours, Anita. Embarrass yourself away. Spill that sangria, girl.
Okay, well, I can't believe I'm going to share this, but this actually just happened like a month or two ago, not that long ago, so it's very fresh in my mind. And so with my little Reiki business that I have a Facebook page. And so someone was urging me to do a Facebook Live. I've never done a Facebook Live before. It scares the bejesus out of me, but I thought, okay, you know what? I can do this. So many people do it. I can do this. And so I, let people know that I was going to be doing this at a certain time, so they could hop on whenever they felt like it or whatever. They'd get a notification. And, I have one of those ring lights. And, anyways, Ava's helping me set the whole thing up. And as the time is getting closer, I'm just getting more and more jittery and nervous and everything. And Ava's got it all under control. And so, then I realized, just before I go on, I was supposed to post to say, hey, people, I'm coming on. So I had written it out into my notes. You know how much I love notes on the iPhone, right? So all I had to do was copy it from there and then paste it onto the Facebook page, right? And then let it go out to everybody. So my hand is shaking and I'm trying to copy. I get it copied. And then now my hand is so clammy and cold that it won't copy it. It won't copy it. So Ava looks and she's like, oh my gosh, you got like a minute left. She goes, here, so she takes her finger on my phone and she hits the copy, right? So then she's like, oh my gosh, I got to get out of here. You've got to go on live now. And I grab her hand and go, wait, the copy is stuck in your finger.
Technically it was.
And she looks at me. She's like, oh, Mom, you have totally lost it. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe those words just came out of my mouth.
Oh my goodness. And did it go okay though? How did it go?
I was actually able to paste it miraculously, even though it was copied onto her finger. I was able to paste it myself with my own finger.
That's so funny. That is such a mom thing. You gotta, all those things you say to your teens or your little kids, and they just roll their eyes, going, "Oh my God."
Yep.
Oh, well, good for you though doing it. I'm very proud of you. I know that's tough. Doing anything live is challenging, and if you're not used used to it and your first run. My gosh. Well done, lady.
Thank you.
I have a quick story, and it actually involves you because, we can't travel, right? We're still stuck. We can't travel. So I want to take our listener back to the time you and I traveled to Jamaica.
Uh-oh. Now, where are you going with this? This better be something that embarrasses you, not me.
No, it's very quick. I just want to say, let's say we just learned our lesson about what our tolerance for adult beverages are, because Anita and I really indulged. We had a great time. We were only there for like 4 days or whatever.
We had a great time until we didn't.
The next day after the great time, we both, like, literally, I don't know if I've ever been that hungover in my life, and I think you the same way. And we dragged her. We knew we had to have something on our stomach, so we're in this resort, this great resort in Jamaica. We go down. There's this beautiful buffet. I'm like, I'm gonna puke all over these little things.
And I'm like, Sheila, we have to eat something, or we really will throw up again.
And I don't remember what you took. I took a piece of watermelon, and I was literally licking it because I couldn't eat it. So
it was you. No. I was sucking on a cucumber.
Okay. The one in our
and you were like, you said, bread is supposed to soak up alcohol. And you took the tiniest little shred of bread and tried to stick it in your mouth.
Oh my
God. And it wouldn't go down.
Oh, no. And then but I did have the watermelon too. I remember licking it, trying, can I get any nutrients?
Maybe that helped taste the bread.
Oh my gosh. So, we're not going to have any of those experiences this summer, I don't think. But you know what you do recover from those kinds of things.
There was a family there, though, that was sitting at another table, and they were looking at us quite disgustedly.
Probably saying, this is what happens when moms decide to go away. They overindulge because they're so excited to get away from the kids.
Moms go rogue in Jamaica. Holy.
That is so funny. All right. Well, we want to thank Dr. Aileen Burford-Mason for being our very knowledgeable guest on this episode. And again, her book is called The War Against Viruses. It's brand new, out last week, and it will help you educate yourself about, what you can do to build up that immune system. Next episode, I'm so excited. History of the 90s podcast host Kathy Kanzora will be joining us. Super excited about that. So, that's it for this episode.
Thanks for letting us hang out with you. And before we go, we will leave you to sip on this.
Yay! What are you letting us sip on, Anita?
All right. Sheila, what is the oldest thing in your closet?
Oh my God, Anita. Gosh, that's a great question. I have no flippin' clue. I would say it's either like a scarf. I have like scarves that I wear, just decorative scarves, or maybe a purse because I have a hard time letting go of purses. So it's one of those things. But I don't know off the top of my head. Do you know what your oldest thing is?
I do, actually. I have a pair of jeans back from the time I was going to say 20, not that I'd ever fit in them again, but it was at a time where people, like, we used to do, there was fabric paint and it became like really popular or whatever. Anyways, I had done like a painting on the one of the thighs or whatever of it. So I actually held on to those jeans. So those would be the oldest thing in my closet.
Wow. Well, we have to ask the listener the exact same question. What
is the oldest thing in your closet?
Hopefully it has no mouse droppings around it. Yeah. All right. Well, that's a wrap on this episode. Happy Father's Day to all the dads celebrating this month, including Greg and Ian, our hubbies. And we raise a glass to all those dads we are remembering as well.
Till next time, have a good one. Visit our website to sign up for our newsletter and for a link to our social media.
We are momsippingsangria.com. No, we are momsipping.com. We are momsipping sangria. Cheers.
Cheers.
So are we good to have a little show here?
Yeah, we can do it. Woo! All I ever see are her damn toes.
Oh my God.
For general inquiries, or just to say hello, or for advertising questions, please visit us at momsippingsangria.com.
Mom Sipping Sangria is produced by Elm Podcasting. Visit elmpodcasting.com for more information.